Hey, what's up, my friend? Are you a small family business owner who loves God, family, country, and capitalism? If so, welcome to the WarPlan Tactical. We're going to spend a few minutes to talk about some useful things that'll hopefully help you make a bunch more money. Did you realize one little thought, one little seed planted in your head could create a feeling that pivots to the direction of your life? I don't think that any of these videos or any video changes your life. At the end of the day, you do. But maybe this will challenge the way you think. Maybe it will break a false belief or help you look at your situation in a new way. This is powerful, powerful stuff. So I'm going to go a little bit slow. We're going to break some stuff down. Today's topic is how to get maximum results with minimal effort. Who wants maximum results with minimal effort? Everybody does, right? Everybody wants the easy button. The truth is there's not really an easy button, but there is an easier way and a hard way. You know, one of our family slogans is to do hard things. And we love that. We have it in t-shirts and blankets and pillows and stickers and magnets, and it's like a family slogan. But sometimes people get it twisted. What we're not suggesting is that you become a hardologist and make everything more hard than it needs to be. And I think we all do this in different areas of our life. So how do you get maximum output without killing yourself and grinding? Let's talk about Kyle Maynard here. Kyle Maynard spoke at the Conquer Summit that we had in January. And he is a handicap guy who has done incredible things. And what's funny is for years, I've told people that have small business owners, I say, when you're approaching how to grow your small business, pretend in your brain that you have no arms and no legs. Now, it wasn't until I met Kyle Maynard and spent time with him, he actually has this issue in real life, and it means no disrespect, but it's a way of reframing your brain, because Kyle has climbed mountains, and they've done national news stories on him. He's done incredible things. He speaks all over the world, and he does the impossible with very limited resources. And so ask yourself, how would you grow your business if you had to do it with no arms and no legs? Pretend that that was real. How would you delegate and communicate with your team if you couldn't hop in and fix every single problem? That would fundamentally change the way you probably approach your business. If you're doing less than a few $1 million a year, you have a really small business. The opportunity is huge. It's right in front of you. But oftentimes we try to jump in and do every single thing ourselves. And what if you could only solve your business problems using your mouth, communication, persuasion, leadership, inspiration? Not that you have to do that, but what would it be like in your company if that was the case? Could you still grow it? The answer is yes, absolutely you could. In fact, you'd probably go faster. You probably make more money. But we have this lone wolf mentality where we want to hop in and fix everything ourselves. And the reason we want to do that is because it's the fastest way to solve the immediate pain point, the problem, right? A customer calls and complains, you hop in, you get to work, you fix it. And it's slower on the front end if you outsource that, delegate that, build a system for it, make a little training video to give it to someone else. That's the funny thing about systems in our company, is that it takes away time today so that we can save a little bit of time over and over and over for years to come, right? You have to give up something on the front end to get a yield on the back end. And people like Kyle Maynard remind me of this, right? So ask yourself, if you had no arms, no legs, what would you do to fix the problems in your company and still scale your company? The next story is about Cliff Young. Cliff Young is an incredible, incredible guy. And he's no longer with us now, but in the 80s, he became a national hero for the country of Australia, because he was this little old man. He was a farmer. I think he was a potato farmer, a sheep herder, or maybe both of those things. And Cliff entered a 500-plus mile race. He wasn't an athlete. He wasn't a professional runner. And they have these huge ultra marathons, or what they're called. And they literally run on foot over 500 miles. It takes like over a week to do it. And all these elite athletes from all over the world fly to Australia, and they compete. And when Cliff Young signed up, the media made fun of this guy, right? He made fun of him because he's not an athlete. And so he was like a laughing stock. And people were also worried about him, that he was going to die. He was like 62 years old, I think, or maybe he was 56 years old. You can Google it. But he was not like a 28-year-old ultra competitive athlete. Long story short, he entered this race. And not only did he finish the race, which people thought was impossible, he actually won the race, and he set a new course record, and he changed the way the ultramarathon runners run, because his style of running was called the Cliff Young Shuffle. And he wore these weird boots. He didn't even wear regular running shoes. But what he was doing is he would run through the night while everyone else would sleep. You know, normally you'd run like 15, 16 hours a day, and then you'd rest, get up, run more. He just didn't stop. It took him like 5 days to finish this race. But what he was doing, what they found out later, scientists, when they studied him, was that he was expending less total energy because of the way that he ran the race. We got to ask ourselves with our company, what are the things we're becoming hardologists with? What areas of your business are you accidentally making things harder than they need to be? Where are you exerting yourself unnecessarily? If you think about it, the simplest core basic principles for succeeding in business is sales and marketing and delivery. There's more to it than that, but if you look at the last 2 weeks of your own working hours, what percentage of your time was dedicated to those revenue generating, cash flow creating activities? You might be wasting lots of energy doing unnecessary or smaller value tasks in your business, which is pretty normal. It's pretty common. This is an opportunity for you to think about it. What percentage of your time was just making it rain? What percentage of your working hours and effort and energy was spent doing the things that matter? Because it's a matter of efficiency, but it's also a matter of focus. And the way that Cliff Young would run was very simple. He didn't move his body around. There was nothing dramatic about it. He was wasting no energy, and he got this extraordinary outcome, which is why there's statues of him, which is amazing. The next thing to think about is the Pareto Principle, but I want you to think about it in a new way. You've probably heard of Pareto. Pareto is this guy that kind of coined the 80-20 principle. 80-20 meaning that 20% of your efforts produce 80% of your results. This applies in nature too. 20% of the crop will yield 80% of the harvest, right? And there's like all these examples. Well, in your business, 20% of your activities are probably yielding most of the money that you get to put in your pocket. But if you want to take it even a step further, think about how you could Pareto Principle, which means what if 20% of your effort right now produces 80% of the results, but what if 4% of the 20% produces 60-something% of the results? Like there's probably 1 or 2 or 3 things that you do that produce a yield. You just don't do it enough. You don't do it often enough. We need more volume of those things, and we got to take the other stuff off your plate. It might be making sales calls. It might be doing outbound lead generation. It might be coming up with marketing hooks and ads. It might be refining your offers or doing a webinar. There's a handful of things that produce all of the money in your company, and expressed as a percentage, probably a tiny percentage of your total working hours are going to that thing. So even as you watch this video, just scribble out what that is. Make a mental note of what that could be. Where are you misallocating your time and your resources doing things that don't produce a lot of results? Another reason people struggle financially with a business is because of the toothless monster, the big, scary toothless monster. Here's the thing. People have 2 core types of fears in business. They have the fear of failure, and they also have the fear of success. And because I've coached and helped over 1,000 small business owners just like you, 1-to-1 over a decade, I've come to realize that fear of success is actually the worst one. But what you got to understand is that this is a toothless monster. It's not as scary as you think it is. The idea that you're going to be financially destitute and you might go bankrupt and you could lose everything or you could look stupid. These are, reasonable things to think about. But at the end of the day, they're not as scary as you think. You got to ask yourself, what is actually the worst thing that could happen if you went all in on yourself? What bad thing would actually happen to you? The answer is no bad thing would happen to you. Great things would happen to you. Is it going to be perfect? No, it's not going to be perfect, but it's going to be good. And you have to know deep down that the thing that's holding you back, the big scary monster, the toothless monster, isn't real. When you succeed, you might be wrestling with, I don't want to make my friends uncomfortable. I don't want my family to judge me. Who am I going to share my wins with? Because you know that they might be weird if you have a lot of financial success. You got to get over that. You got to face the big scary monster to realize he's toothless, he can't hurt you, and he was a paper tiger, so to speak, the whole time. Do you have fear of failure or do you have fear of success? And what actions can you take to smash that thing down and overcome it? Get it over with. Your life will change. You'll never be the same. It'll change your life for the rest of your life. It's amazing. And then we have the Dunning-Kruger effect. This is a gigantic reason people do not get maximum results with minimal effort, is because they're chronic overthinkers. Are you a chronic overthinker? Do you reverse engineer every possible thing that could go wrong and obsess over it and study it? And next Tuesday with the full moon and the tides come in and then this could happen and then my bank account will go negative. Oh my God, what am I going to do? If you're an overthinker, here's some encouragement for you. Number one, that means that you are intelligent. It means that you're smart. People with a high IQ tend to underestimate their abilities. People with a low IQ tend to overestimate their abilities. We all know people like this. Uncle Larry at the family picnic, right? He just does crazy stuff. We also know people that have irrational confidence, right? And they just tend to take what they want. They tend to have success fall into their lap. And then there's you, the overthinker, who's painfully aware of all of your own inadequacies, your own shortcomings. You know your own deficiencies. And because you're so aware of it, because you are smart, it holds you back and makes you move like a turtle. And it's taking you forever to go from point A to point B. How many years have you been telling yourself you're going to have that $1 million business, or you're going to take that family trip to Hawaii, or you're going to deliver on that promise that you promised your wife? How long have you been doing that? And if it's been a long time and the action is moving like a turtle or like molasses in February, there's a good chance the Dunning-Kruger effect is at play, that you're a high IQ person who's underestimating what you're capable of if you could just chill out and go faster and get out of your own way. Look, engineering for problems is good. Understanding the threats to your finances and your business and your family is good, but it doesn't need to be your core thing that you do every day. Be aware of the problems and then run into the darkness. Commitment is running into the darkness in perpetuity, pursuing the thing that you're going after and being okay with the bumps and bruises that happen along the way. And then last but certainly not least, let's talk about state control. Then I'm going to give you some practical things you can do to turn this around that really, really, really can set some of you free. So state control is really the game. And Myron Golden does some amazing teachings. If you don't follow him, look him up on YouTube. He's amazing. I've known Myron for almost 6 years. And he talks a lot about feelings. He talks about how the game of business is not about doing stuff. The real game, listen to this, I'll say it again. The real game isn't about doing stuff. It's about feeling like doing stuff. The truth is that most people kind of know the next 2 or 3 things they need to do. They're just not doing it. So how do you do it? Do you just use willpower? Are all the people that are succeeding superhuman and you're not? Do they have some special magical ability that you don't have? The answer is absolutely not. Which is why one of my favorite quotes is never meet your heroes, because the people that you're looking up to right now, they're not that cool. They're not that great. They're much more flawed than you could ever imagine, but there's little things that are different about the way they feel compared to you. And that's why overthinking and the toothless monster and all these things are so important, because when you have a feeling of trepidation or anxiety or fear and it's regular, you only can move like a turtle. You can't go fast. So let's talk about state control. Let me scroll down here. And look at this little graphic I made for you. At the top, it says feeling. If you scroll over to the right, the next one is action. Then we have result. Then we have evidence, okay? Then we have confidence. Then we go back to feeling. Here's how this works. This is very simple, and I hope this sets you free. Are you ready? Are you ready? Check this out. The feelings that you feel dictate your actions. That's humanity. That's how humans work. Now, you can temporarily take actions, even though you don't feel the feeling, but that's only a finite resource you're tapping into, because when you only rely on willpower and that's it, it's not sustainable. You need to actually control your state. And we'll talk about how to do that in a second. But when you feel feelings of either anticipation and excitement and just fire and motivate, when you feel like that, it's pretty easy to take the necessary actions you need to succeed, right? We've all been there. And when you're paralyzed and full of anxiety, you can't move your hand up. You can't take any action. And this is the game, is start with the feeling, which controls the action. The actions that we take or don't take automatically dictate the results that we're going to get, which is the next part. Does your bank account have $117 in it? If it does, that's literally the result of actions you did or did not take in the past few weeks and months. Your bank account is what's known as a lagging indicator. It's just a fancy business term. It's a lagging indicator. Whatever's in your bank account is correct based on the value you created, the actions you took, the risk you took, how hard you pushed and sold and marketed your stuff. It's not like a mistake. No one's like punking you, right? So if you don't have money, it's directly related to the actions you took, which dictated the results. After you get results, whether they're good or bad, this is what happens. This is profound. When you get a result, a good one or a bad one, when you step on the scales and you gain 10 pounds, it creates a certain thing. And if you step on the scale and you lost 10 pounds, it creates a certain thing. And that thing is called evidence, okay? Evidence. You can have positive or negative evidence. Both of them are part of our daily lives. But when you start stacking negative evidence for yourself, it gives you inverted confidence. And I'll explain what that is in a second. Now, if you start stacking little wins, like you lost a pound, you lost 2 pounds, now your $100 goes to $200, to $300. That type of evidence is positive, good evidence, which leads to good, positive confidence. You know, people always say, oh, I don't have confidence, Josh. The truth is that everybody already has confidence. The question isn't if you have it, it's do you have inverted confidence or good confidence? Inverted confidence is when an obese person who is sexually abused as a kid says, I'm not worth it. I am 100% confident that I'm not worthy. I'm 100% confident that I'm not lovable, right? And these things are happening in their head subconsciously. They're still confident, but they have inverted confidence. And this is such a big deal because even if you start stacking little tiny results, which leads to little tiny pieces of positive evidence, that leads to little blocks of positive confidence for you, which guess what happens? Once you get to confidence, that's what's going to create the next feeling. And so this is a cycle of destruction or a cycle of success, depending on which way you handle this, right? Does that make sense? You picking up what I'm throwing down? How do you control your feelings? You control your feelings through the people you're around, through the content that you consume, through the way that you sleep, the way you take care of your body, the food that goes in your body, the way that you contribute. If you never help anybody else, it's hard to have maximum good feelings. You know, all humans are built to be interdependent. You should be mentoring someone your whole life and being mentored by someone your whole life. Someone pours into your cup, you pour out of your cup. The friends and the network that you're a part of, the words that are spoken, the music you listen to, the movies that you watch, all of these things stack together to create feelings. Now, this isn't a magic pill. You can be doing all the right things and still have bad feelings. You can wake up on a Monday and not want to do anything. But that's why we still need willpower. We can use willpower for little bits, but if all the other stuff's out of whack, you're not going to have enough willpower to achieve a big outcome. Okay, so here's in summary my homework for you. Terrible word, homework, right? Number one, do a strategic reset. If you really want to make 2023 the best year ever for you, step one is to pattern interrupt yourself. A strategic reset means you push pause on everything, you shut down electronics, and you change your location. You can go to the Best Western down the road, you take your wife, you get away for 2 days, and you think. You just think with no stimulus coming in, no phone calls, no emails, no anything. You talk to each other and you think, what do we want? Why are we here? Where are we struggling? What am I ashamed of myself about? What am I proud of myself about? What do I know I'm great at, but I just don't want to admit it because I don't want people to think that I'm cocky or something. And you're just thinking and you're talking, but we need to pattern interrupt and reset the table for you. It's called a strategic reset because you might be in a Groundhog's Day loop of survival. You might be responding to stimulus every Monday morning, and then it's Saturday night, and then you sleep, and then you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you're stuck in a loop, a bad loop. We got to break the pattern. So number one, literally do this, schedule a 2-day strategic reset. If you go by yourself, if you're married, take your wife. Do that. It's insanely epically powerful. No one actually does this stuff. They just watch YouTube videos that tell you this stuff. Go do it. Do it this week. Second thing is determine your primary objective. Determine your success criteria for you. Don't base it on what your parents wanted for you. Don't base it on what the high school guidance counselor told you you're supposed to want. There's not a wrong answer here. What are you willing to suffer for? What are you willing to work for? What are you willing to trade your life for? Figure it out. And you might wrestle with it. You see, most people don't know what they want. They only know what they don't want. It's really hard to build a success path for someone that's only trying to avoid something they don't want. You know, there's a difference between running away from pain and running towards pleasure. And when you set your primary objective, now we have a mountaintop to go run towards. Now when we're stepping over sticks and thorns and snakes and obstacles and holes in the ground and we twist our ankle, we're walking towards Success Mountain for you, whatever that is, whether it's time or money or location independence or being a better dad, whatever it is. How can we take your business and bend every single decision you make for your business and directionally point it towards Success Mountain for you? I call that a primary objective. What is yours? Figure it out. Do it on your strategic reset. The next thing we're going to want to do is either delegate, eliminate, or outsource all of the stuff that isn't producing the maximum result. All the stuff that takes tons of effort and produces tiny results, we're going to delegate it to another person on your team, or we're going to eliminate it because it's probably unnecessary altogether. There's probably a lot of things you're doing you don't need to ever do ever again. They're time wasters. And then third, we can outsource it. You can hire an agency. You can hire some company to do something. You could buy a piece of equipment that automates something. Those are the three pillars, right? You're going to do a strategic reset. You're going to get clear on what Success Mountain for you looks like. Then you're going to just clear your plate. You're going to take bold action and delegate, eliminate, and outsource all of the low-level stuff so you can be like Cliff Young and Kyle Maynard and do impossible things because you're capable of what some people would say is impossible things. And then last but not least, you're going to find the J in the J. You're going to find the joy in the journey. You're going to realize, because you're smart, that when you hit the top of Success Mountain, it's not going to satisfy you. You're going to know that right now. You're going to know that when you finally reach the summit, it's going to be awesome for a minute. You're going to high-five your wife. You're going to high-five your team. You're going to feel great about yourself for a minute. But that is not the determining factor of your happiness. Hitting or not hitting that on the timeline you set for yourself is not the thing that dictates if your life was worth living. It's the journey itself, which sounds cheesy. I totally get it. It sounds so cheesy, but it's true. It's true, guys. It's true. There's honor in work. You doing the strategic reset should create joy for you. You taking control in the list of things to delegate, eliminate, and outsource should create joy in you. One of the sayings my wife always says is find joy in the journey, because the outcome or the destination, it never satisfies like you think it's going to. Hey, listen, if you're getting value out of this, first of all, it makes me really happy. I'm here to help and serve you. I've built and sold 4 companies in 3 different industries. I've coached over 1,000 small business owners, but I'm also a company builder, and I'm doing it right now. The purpose of this channel is to add value to your life. I'm looking for people that love their family, that want big results in business, and I want to serve people like you. If that's you, can you like, subscribe, hit the bell, and comment? I know it's a lot of stuff. I know every YouTube channel says it, but it's a big deal. It means a lot to me. It's kind of like a little high five to me when you do that. Let me know what you want me to talk about. I have a lot of things that we're going to be sharing on this channel. It's my pleasure to make these for you and share it with a friend. This is the type of video that sent to the right person at the right time could change the whole trajectory of what their business feels like and the results that their business gets. So unless you're a greedy, selfish, mean person, share it to get the word out. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next video.